Welcome back to another message crawler update. Today we're getting a first look at message crawler version 7. Now, one more time I want to say it, if you're new to this channel, middle of the week videos are going to be project updates and the weekend videos are going to be the token videos. So if you're new here, don't be surprised. Middle of the week, project updates. Now, let's go to my screen. I'm going to show you how I got started with message crawler 7. Alright, so what we see here is what the new interface is going to look like. We have a little collapsible menu on the left. All these things are going to change. We're not even looking at beta version. This is a pre-beta version. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some documents. So this is the first thing I wanted to improve, is how fast documents load when you load them. So I'm going to click on documents. And you see that the documents already showed up, and we have 600,000 of them. The reason why this works is we're not actually loading all the documents to this computer. We are streaming documents. So what does that mean? I'm going to scroll up and down, and you'll see how the grid becomes blank for a second. So it's blank, and then it gets filled in with data. So that is how data gets loaded into the grid now, is it gets loaded on as needed basis. When you scroll to a specific section of a grid, that's when data gets populated. Now, when you scroll to the right, it doesn't work because it loads complete row. But when you go down, you see how the rows get loaded when you need them. Now, we can actually change this behavior. So up here, I have stream, but I can say download locally. So now if I reopen my documents, you see how long it takes. Now it's actually querying the database just like the version 6 would, and it's downloading all the records to my computer, and now they're here. But what you'll notice now is scrolling is actually a little bit better, right? It's a little smoother, and I can like hold the scroll bar and just drag it up and down, and this kind of gives you better experience as long as you're working with under like 500,000 to 1 million records. So now you have this option to either download records locally, so they're cached on your computer and you got the super fast scrolling, or you could choose a stream mode, and when you open documents, you'll have a slightly laggy loading, and see when you scroll like that, it kind of takes a few seconds to load. But it is perfectly acceptable way of looking at your data. And again, when we're gonna scroll to the right, well, we're gonna find some data. So let's get some short messages. And when we scroll to the right, again, this is totally acceptable. We have our messages from, to, body, right? So we have all the usual stuff. And again, you could see how it appears when needed. So that is number one thing that I've taken care of in version 7 that I really wanted to. So the next thing I want to show you is some of the other components here that we have on the left and what they do, what they're for. So next I'm going to click on logs. So what logs are is anything that happens in the application, it gets saved. In versions 1 through 6, logs would be generated per task that you're performing. So if you're doing import, it gets its own import log. If you're doing data transform, it gets its own log. If you export, you get its own log. And all these logs, they were like in a different format. They weren't saved anywhere. You had to save them yourself. So now everything you do, all the activity or any errors, I would say, errors, warnings, info, will get saved in the logs table, and you'll be able to query it, and you can do whatever it is you want. Now, logs are also associated to specific modules that you are running, so it's not necessarily going to be a whole mess. But that's another improvement here, is that the logging is going to be centralized, and it's always going to be accessible. Okay. The next thing let's quickly look at is jobs. Okay. So the way we're going to be doing everything in Message Crawler 7 is through job. Since we don't want to load data onto the screen when we take action on it, we need to create a job that will point to a search or to an XML file. So if I go to new and I select an import job, what I'll be able to do is add additional data sources, and then we'll be able to ingest them. Or if I say I want to, for example, export something, well, I'll have a search that I can run this export on. So again, if I go to searches, I already have searches created because I have 3 custodians loaded. This is some public data that I found, so these are not real people, I guess, I don't know. But we can have searches, we can add different conditions. This is kind of similar to what we had in version 6 in the grid. So we can do that, we can run those searches, and then if you're sure this is what you want, you can save it. We don't need that, and you could say, okay, here's my search, we're going to pick that search and we're going to export it to a certain folder, and then this is going to be a job that we can close, save, and then we can run this job. And now the run module is going to query the search object, which in turn is going to pull out all the documents, and then the job is going to run on that. So point is, no longer you need to be able to query data onto your screen in order to perform some kind of data manipulation or export. Everything is going to be done through jobs and searches. Now I know setting up like a search and a job every time you want to do a little update is going to be annoying. So I do have these document tools here. There is a button here where we'll have like a quick, search and replace, mass update kind of tools. And we'll go into them later. Right now they're like really ugly and I need to kind of make them look nicer and work on them, but they do work. So we'll have like those quick updates that we had in version 6, and then we'll also have jobs and searches which will be able to scale to handle millions and millions of records without killing your computer. How nice. Okay, so that's the first preview of what I'm working on for version 7. Hopefully you're excited about this. If you are, please let me know about it, and I will see you on another message crawler update.